This is the Unit 3 Intro to Functions Cornell Notes video. We're going to look at different ways we can create, write, and represent linear functions. First thing we need to start off with is y equals mx plus b. Most of us have seen this before, but some of us may have not, and we may not know what those letters mean. We know y and x represent, those are variables. That's our independent and dependent variables. But what about m and b? First thing, what does m represent? M represents the slope, or the rate of change. We'll get more into that with each example that we do. There's many different ways we can find slope. One way is finding slope on a table. So when you find slope on a table, you are looking to see what delta y over delta x is, or the change in y over the change in x. This example will be explained out in another video, but our change in y here on this problem is 5. We are going up by 5 each time, so plus 5. Our change in y is 1 because we are going up by 1 each time. So our slope for this problem would be 5 over 1, which is just 5. Another way we can find slope is from 2 points. To find slope from 2 points, all you need is to know what the formula is. And don't worry about memorizing it. It's on your formula chart. So to find slope from 2 points, the formula is m, which is slope, equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the first thing that I did, I was labeled my points, x1 and y1, x2 and y2. After doing that, I'm simply going to plug these numbers from my points into my formula. So y2 is 15 minus y1 is 10 over x2 is 2 minus x1 is 1. That gives us 5 over 1, which is also 5. So even though we used 2 different methods here, one from 2 points and one from a table, we ended up with the same slope. So now, when we go to see slope on a graph, we are looking at the same thing, but visually this time. Slope on a graph is rise over run. I don't necessarily like to say rise over run because sometimes you may be going down. So I like to just say, just like we said on our table, change in y over the change in x. So if we look at our graph here, say we are given this graph, and we are asked to find the slope. Well, from this point, first point, to my second point, my y value went up by 5. So change in y is 5. From this x value at 0 to the next x value at 1, we went up by 1. So, rise over run. Our slope is 5 over 1. So, now that we know a couple simple ways to find slope, we just need to summarize all of those. The rate of change, or slope, represents how much the y value is changing in relation to how much the x value is changing. Change in y over change in x. For example, the slope in the example above, our graph, represents money being made per hour. This is our money, this is our hours. So change in y is our change in money over our change in hours. Which, in this case, our slope would be $5, change in y, per 1 hour, change in x.